The International Space Station, a sprawling complex orbiting Earth, buzzed with activity. It was not just any day. It was the day Princess Thalira of Valador would arrive. In one of the high-ceilinged halls of the station, Dr. Elliot Spencer prepared for the official reception. He adjusted the collar of his formal jacket, a slight frown creasing his brow. He wasn't used to diplomatic ceremonies. He preferred the quiet solitude of his lab. As he checked the last of the medical scanning equipment, another figure approached him. A fellow human, Dr. Leo Barnes, an anthropologist known for his work with interstellar cultural integration. Excited, Elliot? It's not every day we get royalty around here, Leo joked, handing Elliot a digital tablet loaded with Thalira's medical and cultural dossier. Elliot sighed, taking the tablet. I'm more curious about her condition. Her symptoms don't add up in any medical journal I've come across. What do you know about Valadorian physiology? Not much, besides them being emotionally expressive to a fault. It's tied to their health somehow, Leo replied, his gaze fixed on the arrival gate. But hey, maybe you'll figure it out. Their conversation paused as the airlock doors opened with a soft hiss. A small delegation of aliens walked through, their steps silent against the metal floor. Thalira was unmistakable. Her skin shimmered with a subtle luminescence, a trait of her people, and her eyes scanned the room with an intelligent, curious gleam. Leo nudged Elliot, whispering, "Showtime, Doc." Elliot stepped forward, clearing his throat. "Princess Thalira, welcome to Earth's Sector Station. I'm Dr. Elliot Spencer, geneticist and your liaison during your stay." Thalira's gaze settled on him, bright and discerning. "Dr. Spencer, I am pleased to meet you. I hope your expertise can shed light on my condition." Her voice was musical, the vowels lilting softly. Elliot felt an unexpected stir of intrigue. "We have prepared a comprehensive health evaluation. With your permission, we'll begin at your convenience." "That would be most appreciated," Thalira said, nodding gracefully. She then glanced at Leo. "And you are?" "Dr. Leo Barnes, ma'am. I specialize in cultural studies. I'm here to ensure your stay is comfortable and respectful of your customs." "A thoughtful provision," Thalira acknowledged with a smile. She seemed momentarily relaxed, her shoulders easing. "Shall we proceed, then?" Elliot led the way to the medical wing, explaining the non-invasive nature of the scans. Thalira listened, her expression pensive. "Your world is renowned for its medical advancements," she remarked. "Yet, I sense a different rhythm here, more pragmatic." "That's one way to put it," Elliot chuckled. "We focus on results but believe in the holistic approach too. Your physical health and emotional well-being are intertwined, especially for Valadorians, from what I understand." "Indeed," Thalira confirmed. "Our emotions are the lens through which our health is viewed." As they reached the medical bay, Elliot offered her a seat by the scanning unit. "Let's start with a basic scan to get a baseline of your physiology." As the machine hummed to life, Leo observed, "You handle this much more gracefully than some diplomats I've met." Thalira laughed softly. "One learns to be many things as a princess. A diplomat is merely one of them." Elliot watched the data streaming in, his mind already racing with possibilities. This was no ordinary medical puzzle, and Thalira was no ordinary patient. Whatever was ailing her, he was determined to understand it, not just for science, but something else, an inexplicable pull towards the princess that he hadn't anticipated. The sterile, white walls of the medical facility on the space station stood in stark contrast to the complexity of the task at hand. Dr. Elliot Spencer, with data from Princess Thalira's initial scans displayed on the screens, was deep in thought when Dr. Leo Barnes strolled in, his brow furrowed in curiosity. "What's the verdict, Elliot? Anything out of the ordinary?" Leo asked, peering over Elliot's shoulder at the colorful graphs and numbers. Elliot rubbed his chin, his eyes narrowing. "It's perplexing. Her physiology definitely doesn't match anything I've seen. There's a pattern of neural activity that suggests her condition might be more psychosomatic than purely physical." Leo leaned against the table, intrigued. "Psychosomatic? So, her mental state is directly affecting her physical health?" "Exactly," Elliot confirmed, tapping on the screen to zoom in on a neural scan. "See these areas here? In humans, They correspond to emotional centers in the brain. In the Lyra, they're overactive. Any stress or emotional turmoil could manifest physically. At that moment, the Lyra entered the room, her presence commanding yet serene. "Have you discovered anything, Dr. Spencer?" she inquired, her tone hopeful yet measured. Elliot turned to her, his expression a mix of professional confidence and personal concern. "Princess, it appears that your health issues might be tied to your emotional state. Your people's unique neural architecture makes you more susceptible to emotional disturbances manifesting as physical symptoms." The Lyra sighed, a slight frown creasing her otherwise serene face. "I suspected as much. Our emotions are powerful, yes, but to think they could cause such distress." Leo interjected, trying to add a lighter tone. "Well, it seems you've come to the right place. Human medicine does have a knack for the unusual and intricate." Elliot nodded, then addressed the Lyra more formally. "Princess, I believe a treatment combining physical monitoring with emotional therapy could offer relief. It's unconventional, but your case is quite unique." The Lyra considered this, her gaze thoughtful. "And what would this therapy entail?" "I suggest a two-pronged approach," Elliot explained. "First, regular medical evaluations to monitor your physical symptoms. Second, and more importantly, we would engage in various therapeutic activities designed to stabilize your emotional state." "And these activities?" the Lyra asked, a trace of amusement in her voice. Leo smiled. "Think of it as a cultural exchange. You'll experience human ways of managing stress and emotion. Music, art, perhaps even our natural environments. It might help ease your symptoms." The Lyra's eyes lit up slightly. "That sounds refreshing. I am willing to try it, Dr. Spencer, Dr. Barnes. It is a small price to pay for potentially great relief." Elliot felt a spark of hope. "We'll start tomorrow. I'll arrange everything, from visits to Earth's natural reserves to sessions with art and music therapists." "Thank you, Dr. Spencer. I am in your hands," the Lyra said, her voice carrying a newfound lightness. As she left the room, Leo nudged Elliot, whispering, "Looks like you'll be spending quite a bit of time with our alien princess. Not the worst assignment, huh?" Elliot chuckled, but his mind was already racing with plans. "It's not just an assignment, Leo. It's a chance to do something truly groundbreaking." Leo clapped him on the back. "Well, if anyone can crack this case, it's you. Let's show her the best of what humanity has to offer." The two men shared a look of determination. Tomorrow would begin a new chapter in interstellar medicine, and perhaps a new chapter in understanding the complex interplay between mind and body. The morning sun cast a warm glow over the lush landscape of the Earth's natural reserve, a stark contrast to the sterile environment of the space station. Dr. Elliot Spencer and Princess Lyra, accompanied by Dr. Leo Barnes, stood at the edge of a serene lake, the water mirroring the clear blue sky. "Quite a view, isn't it?" Elliot remarked, watching Lyra's reaction as she took in the scenery. "It's beautiful," the Lyra replied, her eyes reflecting the calm waters. "Very different from Validar. Our waters are more turbulent." Leo, always eager to share knowledge, chimed in. "Water often symbolizes emotion in many Earth cultures. Calm waters, calm mind. Maybe we can find a parallel for your treatment here." The Lyra smiled gently. "Perhaps. I am ready to embrace your methods, Dr. Spencer." Elliot nodded, then gestured toward a path that led around the lake. "Let's take a walk." Physical activity is a simple yet effective therapy. It helps clear the mind. As they walked, Leo started explaining various Earth customs related to wellness and mental health. Many people here use exercise not just for physical health, but also to maintain emotional balance. The Lyra listened intently, her gaze occasionally drifting across the landscape. "On Validar, we use meditation and vocal expressions to manage our emotions. It's quite different from your practices." Elliot was curious. "Vocal expressions? Like singing?" "Yes, but more primal. It's a release, a way to let go of heavy emotions," the Lyra explained. Intrigued, Elliot suggested, "Maybe you could show us sometime. It could be a valuable exchange of techniques." "I would like that," the Lyra said, her voice tinged with a newfound enthusiasm. Their path took them to a small clearing where Leo had arranged for a local artist to give a demonstration of landscape painting, another therapeutic technique. The artist, a middle-aged man named Carl, greeted them with a broad smile. "Welcome. Ever tried painting, any of you?" Carl asked, setting up easels for each of them. "Not really," Elliot admitted, while Leo shrugged, equally inexperienced. The Lyra approached the canvas with a hint of excitement. "This is new to me. On Validar, art is more about sculpture and light manipulation." Carl handed her a brush. "Think of the brush as an extension of your emotions. Let the landscape speak to you, and just flow with it." For the next hour, the trio painted under Carl's guidance, each stroke allowing the Lyra to express herself in ways she hadn't anticipated. Elliot watched her often, noting the gradual relaxation in her posture and the slight smile touching her lips. As they finished, Carl assessed their work. "You've all got a unique style. Princess, there's a lot of emotion in your painting. I can see you've really connected with the experience." The Lyra examined her painting, a swirl of colors that captured the tumultuous yet harmonious essence of the landscape. "This is therapeutic. I feel lighter somehow." Leo, ever the observer, noted, "It's fascinating how different cultures can find common ground in such simple activities." Elliot agreed, his mind already racing with ideas for their next session. "We'll explore more activities that might help. Tomorrow, perhaps some music therapy?" The Lyra nodded, clearly pleased. "I look forward to it." As they packed up to leave, Elliot felt a sense of accomplishment. This cultural exchange wasn't just about treating the Lyra. It was about understanding and bridging the vast expanse between their worlds, one painting, one note, one step at a time. Dr. Elliot Spencer decided to switch the environment from the clinical to the personal by inviting Princess the Lyra to his home. His residence, nestled on the outskirts of a bustling city, offered a panoramic view of the ocean, a stark contrast to both the space station and the reserved nature settings they had visited. As the Lyra stepped through the door, her eyes widened at the sight of the sprawling ocean visible from the large bay windows. "Your home is very open," she commented, her voice mingling curiosity with admiration. Elliot smiled, leading her to the terrace. "I find the view calming. The ocean has a way of putting things into perspective." Dr. Leo Barnes, who had come along to assist with the cultural exchange, carried out a portable speaker and some music discs. "I thought today we could dive into some music therapy. Sound influences our emotional state significantly, and I'm curious to see how it affects you, the Lyra." The Lyra nodded, settling into a chair with interest. "Music is universal, yet distinctly interpreted by each culture. I am eager to experience yours." Elliot played a selection of classical and ambient tracks, observing the Lyra's reactions. Each piece seemed to draw her in, her eyes occasionally closing as she absorbed the melodies and harmonies. "How do you feel?" Elliot asked after a particularly serene piano piece ended. "It's soothing," the Lyra admitted, her expression relaxed. "On Validar, our music is more about rhythm and energy. This is very different, more reflective." Leo, always keen to add a layer of understanding, chimed in. "Music can be a mirror, reflecting our innermost selves. It sounds like Valdorian music is outwardly expressive." "Yes, exactly," the Lyra agreed. She then turned to Elliot. "What does your music say about you, Elliot?" Caught off guard by the question, Elliot pondered for a moment. "Perhaps that I value complexity and nuance, but also harmony and balance." The afternoon drifted into evening, and Elliot proposed they try their hand at making dinner together as another form of therapy, cooking. In the kitchen, the Lyra watched curiously as Elliot laid out ingredients. "Food, like music, is therapy for many people here," Elliot explained as he handed the Lyra some vegetables to chop. "It's about creating something nourishing not just for the body but for the soul." As they chopped, stirred, and seasoned, the kitchen filled with the aroma of spices and herbs. The Lyra took a deep breath, smiling. "I see what you mean. This is very grounding." Leo, ever the conversationalist, steered their talk towards lighter topics, sharing humorous stories from other cultural exchanges. The Lyra laughed, the sound bright and clear, mingling with the sizzle of the food. Once the meal was ready, They sat down to eat, the casual setting lending an air of intimacy to their discussions. Elliot, I appreciate this, the Lyra said earnestly as they began to eat. Today has been enlightening. I feel closer to understanding your world. Elliot met her gaze, his own expression sincere. And I, yours. It's been an unexpected journey, but a welcome one. The meal ended with a dessert of fresh fruit, the simplicity of the dish a perfect end to a day of complex, emotional exploration. As the night drew to a close, Leo stood to leave, sensing the growing connection between Elliot and the Lyra. Leave you two to the view, he quipped, winking at Elliot before departing. Alone, Elliot and the Lyra moved back to the terrace, watching the stars begin to pepper the darkening sky. The sound of the waves below offered a natural symphony that complemented their evening of music. This was a perfect day, the Lyra said, her voice soft. Thank you, Elliot. It was my pleasure, the Lyra, Elliot replied, aware of the depth of their connection and the healing it was fostering, not just for the Lyra, but perhaps for him as well. The ocean breeze was gentle, whispering through the open windows of Elliot's home, where he and Princess the Lyra had begun to spend more time. After the successes of their previous sessions, the boundaries between doctor and patient, visitor and host, had subtly shifted. Now, they were two individuals learning from one another, growing closer in unexpected ways. As they stood side by side on the terrace, watching the twilight deepen into a starlit sky, Elliot spoke, his voice low and contemplative. You know, the Lyra, these sessions, we started them to help you heal, but I find myself looking forward to our time together for more than just professional reasons. The Lyra turned to him, her luminescent eyes reflecting the stars. I feel the same, Elliot. Your world, and you, have brought me a peace I hadn't anticipated. It's more than just the treatments, it's you. Encouraged by her response, Elliot took a tentative step closer. May I? He asked, reaching out slightly, an unspoken question hanging between them. With a nod, the Lyra closed the distance, her hand meeting his. Her touch was warm, and Elliot felt a current pass through them, a connection that felt as deep as the ocean before them. Teach me something tonight, the Lyra suggested softly. Something human, something personal. Elliot thought for a moment, then smiled. All right, have you ever danced? It's another form of expression, of connection. I haven't, she admitted, a playful tone in her voice. Valedorians rarely dance. Well, then, Elliot said, leading her to a clearer part of the terrace. He selected a slow, melodic tune from his music player, the soft piano notes floating around them. It's simple. Follow my lead. As he guided her hands to his shoulders and placed his own gently on her waist, they began to move to the music. The dance was slow, their movements hesitant at first but soon finding a rhythm. The Lyra's eyes never left his, a smile playing on her lips. This feels nice, she murmured, her voice barely above the music. It's about feeling the music and the moment, Elliot explained, leading her in a gentle twirl. About trusting your partner. As the song ended, they remained close, caught in the moment. The air around them seemed charged, and Elliot found himself leaning in, captivated by her gaze. Their first kiss was tentative, a soft press of lips that spoke of new possibilities and mutual desire. The Lyra responded with a gentle confidence, her hand moving up to caress his cheek. When they parted, Elliot felt as if he was seeing her for the first time again, but with a new understanding. The Lyra, She placed a finger on his lips, her smile serene. No need for words, Elliot. I feel it too. The rest of the evening was spent in quiet conversation and shared laughter, the earlier tension giving way to a comfortable intimacy. They discussed dreams, fears, the stars, and the deep waters, each revelation bringing them closer. As the Lyra prepared to leave, she paused at the door, turning to look at Elliot. Tonight was healing, in more ways than one. Thank you for sharing this part of your world with me. Elliot walked her to the door, feeling a profound sense of connection. Thank you for being open to it. I look forward to what tomorrow brings. With a final, lingering look, the Lyra stepped out into the night, leaving Elliot with a sense of anticipation and a heart full of possibilities. As he watched her figure recede, He realized that their journey together was just beginning, and he was eager to see where it led. The morning after their evening of shared intimacy and dance, the atmosphere at the space station was starkly different. Dr. Elliot Spencer arrived at his office to find a message blinking urgently on his communicator. It was from Thalira's entourage, requesting a formal meeting. Concern flickered across his face as he wondered if perhaps the lines between personal and professional had become too blurred. Upon entering the conference room, Elliot was greeted by stern faces. Two of Thalira's senior advisors, both towering figures with sharp eyes, were seated across from Dr. Leo Barnes, who had been discussing something earnestly with them but paused as Elliot entered. Dr. Spencer, one advisor began, his tone formal. We have concerns about the nature of your recent interactions with Princess Thalira. Elliot took a deep breath, maintaining his composure. I understand your concerns. Please know that everything I do, including spending time outside of clinical settings, has been for the benefit of the princess's health, which has shown considerable improvement. Leo chimed in, supporting Elliot. The princess herself has expressed a high degree of satisfaction with Dr. Spencer's methods. We are seeing results that go beyond traditional treatments. The second advisor leaned forward, his expression unyielding. While we acknowledge the improvement in her health, we must consider the appropriateness of these unorthodox methods. The princess is not just any individual. She represents Validar. Elliot nodded, expecting this stance. I fully respect that. My primary goal has always been her well-being. Everything we have done, including the more personal interactions, has been consensual and in line with therapeutic practices that respect her dignity and culture. There was a tense pause before the first advisor responded. We will need to report this back to our superiors. It is important that all actions are transparent and within the bounds of decorum expected by our people. Leo added, perhaps we could arrange for you to observe some of our sessions? See the benefits firsthand? The advisors exchanged a glance, considering his proposal. That might be acceptable. We will also speak directly with Princess Thalira about her views on the continuation of this approach. Thank you, Elliot said. I believe that hearing from Thalira herself will reassure you of the value of our approach. After the advisors left, Elliot turned to Leo with a sigh of relief. Thanks for backing me up in there. Leo clapped him on the shoulder. Of course. What's next? We wait, Elliot replied, and hope that Thalira can convince them as she's convinced us. The following day, Thalira requested a private meeting with Elliot and Leo at Elliot's home, away from the prying eyes and ears of the station. As she arrived, Elliot could see determination in her eyes. I have spoken with my advisors, she began without preamble. I made it clear that the progress we have achieved together is due to your innovative approach and that I wish to continue. Elliot listened, relief and admiration mingling within him. Thank you, Thalira. I promise you that the professionalism and care in your treatment will remain our top priority. Thalira smiled, her presence softening. I know, Elliot, and I trust you. Let us continue to show them just how effective this collaboration can be. As she left, Elliot and Leo shared a look of understanding. The road ahead might be fraught with more challenges, but with Thalira's endorsement and continued improvement, they were confident they could navigate them together. Back in the tranquility of Elliot's home, with its sweeping ocean views and the calming sound of waves crashing against the shore, Dr. Elliot Spencer and Princess Thalira met for another session. This time, they were joined by Dr. Leo Barnes and a few of Thalira's advisors, who had agreed to observe the treatments firsthand, still somewhat skeptical but open to understanding the methods that had shown such promise. As they gathered in the spacious living room, Leo addressed the group with a confident smile. Today, we'll demonstrate a combination of therapies that have been pivotal in the princess's recovery. These include music therapy, guided relaxation, and some light physical exercises. Thalira nodded to her advisors, signaling her endorsement of the session. She turned to Elliot, her trust evident. Dr. Spencer, shall we begin with the music therapy? Certainly, Elliot replied, cueing up a selection of soothing classical music. The gentle strings of a violin filled the room, setting a serene tone. Elliot guided Thalira through deep breathing exercises synchronized with the melody, demonstrating how each breath could be used to enhance relaxation and emotional release. One of Thalira's advisors, A stern-faced Veldorian named Garen watched closely, his brow furrowed in concentration. As the session progressed, his expression softened, the therapeutic impact of the music seemingly not lost on him. After the music faded away, Leo led a discussion. The goal here is to create an environment where the princess can manage her emotional well-being effectively, thus improving her physical health. It's about integrating various human therapies that promote holistic healing. Garen, clearing his throat, spoke up for the first time. I must admit, the calm in this room is palpable. Princess Thalira seems at peace, more so than I have seen in a long time. Thalira smiled warmly at Garen. It's true. These sessions have brought me a great sense of peace and vitality. Dr. Spencer, perhaps we could demonstrate the light exercises now? Of course, Elliot said, helping Thalira to her feet. They moved to a clear area of the room, where Elliot demonstrated simple stretches that emphasized mindfulness and body awareness. Thalira mirrored his movements gracefully, her advisors observing the deliberate, gentle motions. As they stretched, Elliot explained, each movement is designed to reinforce the connection between mind and body, helping to alleviate physical symptoms through mental focus and control. Another advisor, a more reserved Veldorian named Lyra, spoke hesitantly, this is quite different from our traditional treatments. Yet, seeing is believing, and the princess's improvement is undeniable. The session concluded with a short period of guided meditation, led by Leo, who instructed everyone to close their eyes and visualize a place that brought them inner peace. The room was filled with a collective sense of tranquility. Afterward, as the advisors quietly discussed their observations, Thalira took Elliot and Leo aside. Thank you both. Today was important, not just for my health, but for building understanding between our people. Elliot nodded, feeling a profound sense of accomplishment. We're grateful they were open to witnessing our approach. It's a step towards more integrated care. Leo added, it's a testament to your openness, Thalira, and your advisor's willingness to embrace new methods. As the advisors prepared to leave, Garen approached Elliot, extending a hand. Dr. Spencer, your methods are unconventional to my eyes, but the results speak for themselves. We look forward to continued cooperation. With a handshake, the session ended on a note of mutual respect and anticipation for the future. Thalira's health had markedly improved, a victory not just for medical science, but for the bridge it had built between two very different cultures. In the grand conference hall on Earth, under the high, arched ceilings adorned with flags from numerous civilizations, a significant gathering of delegates, scientists, and diplomats had convened. The Galactic Assembly on Interspecies Medical Collaboration was a monumental event, aiming to foster cooperation and exchange groundbreaking medical and therapeutic advancements across the galaxy. At the heart of today's session was Princess Thalira, her recovery a subject of widespread interest and a prime example of successful interspecies medical practice. Dr. Elliot Spencer and Dr. Leo Barnes stood by her side, awaiting her speech that would likely influence the future of Earth's involvement in galactic health initiatives. The hum of multilingual conversations filled the air as the assembly came to order, and Thalira stepped up to the podium, her presence commanding attention. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed delegates, Thalira began, her voice clear and resonant. Today, I stand before you not just as a princess of Valador, but as a testament to the incredible potential of embracing diversity in medical treatment and therapeutic practices. Elliot watched her, pride swelling in his chest at her confidence and eloquence. She continued, my journey to recovery was not through traditional means on my home planet, but through a bold, innovative approach spearheaded by Dr. Elliot Spencer and supported by Dr. Leo Barnes here on Earth. Murmurs of interest and note-taking rippled through the crowd as Thalira detailed her treatment, emphasizing the integration of human therapeutic methods like music therapy, art, and physical wellness into her regimen. As we advance, Thalira said, turning to project some images of her sessions, we see not just the healing of a body, but the bridging of worlds. Our collaboration stands as a beacon, inviting us to rethink how we approach health and wellness across cultural and biological landscapes. The audience was captivated, their attention fixed on Thalira as she eloquently described her experiences. After her presentation, a panel discussion commenced, featuring Elliot and Leo alongside other interspecies medical professionals. The discussion was vibrant, with many delegates expressing a keen interest in understanding more about human therapeutic practices. Dr. Hugo Martinez, a renowned medical ethicist, posed a question from the floor. Dr. Spencer, could you elaborate on how these therapies might be adapted to other species with different physiological and emotional constructs? Elliot responded, absolutely, Dr. Martinez. The key is flexibility and customization. Each species has unique emotional and physiological needs. Our approach with Princess Thalira was successful because it was tailored specifically to her, combining our knowledge of human medicine with a deep respect for her physiological uniqueness and cultural heritage. Leo added, it's about building a foundation of trust and understanding, then adapting the interventions to meet the specific needs of the individual, regardless of their species. The discussion broadened, exploring potential collaborative projects and research initiatives. Delegates from various planets shared their insights and expressed a desire to learn from Earth's integrative techniques, proposing student and professional exchange programs. As the session drew to a close, Thalira returned to the podium for her closing remarks. Let this be the dawn of a new era in medical science, where our differences enrich our knowledge and where our health is a shared responsibility. Together, let us move forward. The assembly ended with a standing ovation, the applause echoing in the grand hall. Delegates lined up to speak with Elliot, Leo, and Thalira, eager to discuss potential partnerships and exchanges. Outside the conference hall, as the crowd dispersed, Elliot, Leo, and Thalira shared a quiet moment together. What you achieved today goes beyond science, Leo remarked, his voice tinged with emotion. Thalira smiled, her eyes meeting Elliot's. And what we have achieved together has changed more than just my health. It's changed our futures. Elliot nodded, his heart full. To many more collaborations, he said, raising an imaginary glass. To many more, Thalira echoed, her voice hopeful, as they looked out at the gathering of delegates, a microcosm of the galaxy united by a common cause.